We continue now at the top of Daf Pehayim Aleph and Meseches Bava Metzia. This is Bava Metzia Daf 85a. The Gemara is continuing a statement of Rebbe. Rebbe said there are three modest people. One is his father, Uvnei Beseira, then also the sons of Beseira. And the third is Yonasan ben Shaul, Yonasan the son of Shaul. And the Gemara explains, Rav Shimon ben Gamliel Hadi Amron. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel we already mentioned. That's the father of Rebbe. He was humble. Rashi says, Rabbi Shimon Hadi Amron de Ka'amar, because he said in the previous Amud, Atah, that you, Rebbe, are Ari ben Shual. You're a lion, the son of a fox. That was a humble statement of Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. B'nei Beseira, when it comes to the B'nei Beseira, Diamar Mar, because the master said, Hoshivuhu Barosh, they made him the head, that's referring to Hillel, Uminuhu Lenasi Alein, and they appointed Hillel as the Nasi over them. Rashi says, B'nei Beseira b'Meseches Psachim, this is in Meseches Psachim, Shahayu Nesiim, they were the Nesiim, Uvishvil Sharo Lehillel Shahaya Gadol B'Torah, because they saw that Hillel was great in terms of Torah, V'Allah Etzlan Mi Bavel, he came to them from Bavel, Azvu Nesius, and they left their Nesius, Uminu Nasi Alein, and they appointed him a Nasi over them. That was their act of humility. And finally, Yonasan ben Shaul, Yonasan the son of Shaul, to Kamerle David, because he said to David, Amelech v'ata Timloch al Yisrael, you're going to be the king over Yisrael, V'ani Eya l'Mishnah, and I'm going to be your voice. And the Gemara says, Mimai, how do you know that this was an act of humility? Dilma Yonasan ben Shaul, dechaza, de gorer alma basar David. Maybe Yonasan ben Shaul saw that the people were following David, so he had no choice but to have David HaMelech be the king. And B'nei Beseira Nami, when it comes to the B'nei Beseira as well, dechazu lehillel de'adif minayu, they saw that Hillel was greater than them, so they had no choice. El Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, but when it comes to Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, vadai an vosan hava, he certainly was humble. And Rashi explains, dechazu lehillel de'adif minayu, they saw that Hillel was greater than them. V'halachos shayu neshalos mehen bebeis hamedrash, meaning the halachos that were asked of them in the beis medrash, ne'elamos mehen, they didn't have the answers. Uvoshen b'davar, they were embarrassed, and so again they had no choice. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rebbe says, Chavivin Yisurin, afflictions are beloved. Kibel aleo hataleisar shni, he accepted upon himself 13 years of affliction. Shis bit Tzmirsa, 6 of them with the disease of Tzmirsa. Vesheva bit Tzfarna, and 7 with the disease of Tzfarna. V'yamrila, and some say Shiva bit Tzmirsa, the other way around, 7 with Tzmirsa. Veshis bit Tzfarna, and 6 with Tzfarna. And Rashi explains, B'tzmirsa even shebemakam ketanim, means to say kidney stones, and Sapirna, choli shebesoch hapeh, that's an illness inside the mouth, it might be thrush. Some people translate Sapirna as scurvy. In any case, he accepted these afflictions upon himself. And the Gemara continues, Aharirye devei Rebbe, the stable man in the house of Rebbe, have a osir mishavur malka, he was wealthier than King Shapur. Kad have a rami kistel the chiyusa, when he gave the food to the animals, have a ozil kola betlasa mili, the sound of the animals would travel 3 meal. He tried to feed the animals at the same time that Rebbe was in the bathroom. And nevertheless, still Rebbe's screams out of pain was louder than the animals. And the sailors, they were able to hear Rebbe screaming. And nevertheless, the afflictions of Rebbe Elazar Rebbe Shimon were greater than Rebbe. Because when it came to Rebbe Elazar Rebbe Shimon, they came out of love and they left out of love. However, the Rebbe, but when it came to Rebbe al Yadei Maisabo, they came because of an incident. There was an incident that happened that caused Rebbe that he should, so to speak, deserve the afflictions. Al Yadei Maisa Holchu, and it was because of an incident that they went away. And the Gemara continues, Al Yadei Maisabo, there was an incident that caused the Yisur and the afflictions to come to Rebbe. Maihi, what was this incident? That Dahu Egla Dahava Kamimtu Le Lashchita, there was a calf that was being brought out to be slaughtered. Azal Talia L'Reishi Bechanfe de Rebbe, and he came under the cloak of Rebbe. The kabachi, and the calf was crying. Amar Le, Rebbe said to it, Zil, you should go. Lekach notzarta, you were created for this reason. Amri, so they said, Hoel velo kamerachim, since he didn't have mercy, Leiso ala Yisur, and let afflictions come upon him. Val yedei ma'isa halchu, and it was through an incident that the Yisur and the afflictions went away. Yom achad, one day, havaka konsha amse de Rebbe Beisa, the maidservant of Rebbe, she was sweeping the house. Havashadya b'nei karkushta, there were some weasels that were lying there. V'kakanshalu, and she was sweeping them up. Amar lo, he said to her, Shavkinu, let them be. Ksiv, it's written in the pasuk, V'racham of al kol masav, he has mercy on all of his creations. And so Amri, they said, Ho'el marachim, since he has mercy, Nerachim oleh, we will have mercy on him as well. And Rashi explains, Talya l'reisha b'chanfei derebi means to say, hechbi es rosho, the calf hit its head, tachas kanfei kasuso, underneath the corner of his garments. And so Amri, they said berakia, means to say they said in the heavens, kinsha beisam mechabedes habayis, again she was sweeping the house, shagin b'nei karkushta, there were young weasels there, hayimutalan sham b'nei chulda, again there were young weasels there, and so Rebbe said to have mercy, and therefore they said in Shamayim to have mercy upon him. And the Gemara continues, Kulu Shnei Yisurei de Rebbe Lazar, all the years of the afflictions of Rebbe Lazar, Lo Shacha Vinish Below Zimne, no person died early. And Kulu Shnei Yisurei de Rebbe, all of the years of the afflictions of Rebbe, Lo Itzrich Alma Lemitra, the world did not need rain. Diyama Rabba Bar Rav Shila, because Rabba Bar Rav Shila said, Kasha Yuma de Mitra Kiyoma de Dina, the day of the rain is difficult like the day of the judgment, rain is a nuisance. V'yamar Ameimar, and Ameimar said, Ilav Tzorech La'alma, if not for the fact that rain was needed for the world, Bo Rabbanan Rachmi Olei, the Rabbanan would daven for mercy over it, Umevadli Lei, and they would nullify the idea of rain. But the Gemara continues, Afilu hachi, nevertheless, even though there was no rain during that time period, ki hava akri pugla mimeishra, when one would uproot a radish from its row, hava kaima bira mal yamaya, the hole would be filled with water because the earth was so saturated with water. And the Gemara continues, Ikla Rebbe la'asri Rebbe Lazar Reb Shimon, Rebbe went to the place of Rebbe Lazar Reb Shimon, Amar Lahu, he said to them, Yeshlo ben lioso tzaddik, does this tzaddik Rebbe Lazar Reb Shimon, does he have a son? Amar Lo, they said to him, Yeshlo ben, he does have a son, V'chol zonish and eskaris b'shnayim, and any prostitute who's hired for 2 coins, so chraso b'shmona, they hire him for 8 coins. Asya asmachei Rebbe, so he brought this son, and he gave him smicha, called him Rebbe, va'ashlamei Rebbe Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya, he gave him over to Rebbe Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya, who was achua de'ime, that was the brother of his mother, and kol yom, every day that he was being taught by Rebbe Shimon, have Amar, this child would say, l'kiryasi ano ezel, I want to go back to my city. Amar le, so he said to him, meaning Rebbe Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya said to the child, chacham avdu yasach, they made you a chacham, they turned you into a wise person, v'gulsa de dehava parsu alach, and they spread over you a golden cloth, v'Rebbe karulach, and everyone calls you Rebbe, v'yata amrit, and you're saying l'karyasi ano ezel, I want to go back to my city. Amar le, so then he said to him, Mumi, that's the language of an oath, azuva da, I am abandoning this thought, I don't want to go back to my old life. Ki Gadol, when he got older, Asa Yosef b'Mesifta de Rebbe, he went and he sat in the yeshiva of Rebbe, Shamei Lakali, and Rebbe heard his voice. Amar, and Rebbe said, Hakala Dami Lakali, the Rebbe Lazar Rebbe Shimon, this voice is similar to the voice of Rebbe Lazar Rebbe Shimon. Amrulei, they said to him, Berehu, this is his son. And the Gemara says, Kari Allah, he referred to him with the following pasuk, Prit Tzadik Eitz Chaim v'Lokeach Nafshas Chacham. Pasuk means to say, Prit Tzadik Eitz Chaim Zer Rebbe Yosi. Rebbe Lazar Rebbe Shimon, when it talks about the Prit Tzadik, the fruits of the righteous, that's referring to this person, Rebbe Yosi, who was the son of Rebbe Lazar Rebbe Shimon. And when the pasuk says, V'Lokeach Nafshas Chacham, one who takes the souls, is Rebbe Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya. This refers to Rebbe Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya, who convinced Rebbe Yosi, the son of Rebbe Lazar, to go on the proper path. And the Gemara continues, Kinach Nafshi, when this Rebbe Yossi died, Amtula Ma'arta Duavua, they brought him to the cave of his father, where his father was buried. Havahadra La'achna Lamarta, there was a snake in front of the cave, preventing entry. Amar Le said to him, Achna Psach Picha, he said, Snake, open your mouth. V'yikones ben Eitzalaviv, let the son enter by his father. Lo Paschulu, he did not open up. Kisvurim Ha'am Lomar, the people thought to say, Shazeh Gadol Mizeh, that this one must be greater than the other one, that's why he's not being let in. Yotz the Baskol, V'yamra Baskol came out and said, Lo Mivnei, Shazeh Gadol Mizeh, it's not that this one was greater than this one. Elazeh Haya B'tzar Ma'ara, this one lived in the pain of the cave. Rebbe Lazar, Rebbe Shimon, and Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai, they lived in the cave. V'zeh Lo Haya B'tzar Ma'ara, but this one was never in the pain of the cave, and that's why he's not being allowed in. And Rashi explains, so Chraso B'shmona, they would hire him for 8 coins, Machmas Yofyav, because he was so beautiful. Asmachei Be'Rebbe Shu Kornos Rebbe, they called him Rebbe. Kadei Sheyiskane V'yosem Elibo al Talmud Torah, this was a way of convincing him that he should pay attention and learn Torah. V'yashlame means Masru Reb Shimon L'lamdo Torah, they gave over Reb Shimon, that Reb Shimon would teach him Torah. Kol Yoma Havamar Oso Haben, that son every day he would say, L'kiryasi ano azal, I want to go back to my city. L'iri ani chafetz leilech, I want to go back to that city. But then he said, Mumi azu vada, he said, B'shvu, he said an oath. He nachdizos, I'm abandoning this, I'm putting it aside. V'lo eshel od leilech, I'm not going to ask anymore to go back to my old life. V'lokeach nafshos, the pasuk says, Lokeach nafshos, it means hamalamdo Torah, it means that one who teaches someone else Torah, konehu leben, he acquires that person as a son. And then the Gemara said, Sar ma'ara, Rebbe Lazar, Rebbe Shimon was involved in the pain of the cave, shenischabu sham, meaning he had to hide there. Rebbe Shimon ben Yochai, Rebbe Lazar beno, Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai and Rebbe Lazar, the son of Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai, they hid there Yud Gimel Shana for 13 years. That story is in Mesechet Shabbos. That story is in Mesechet Shabbos. And the Gemara continues, Ikla Rebbe liasre de Reb Tarfon. Rebbe went to the place of Reb Tarfon. Amar Lahu, he said to them, Yesh lo ben lo, so tzaddik, does this person have a son? Does this righteous person, Rebbe Tarfon, have a son? Shahaya mekapeach es banav, because Rebbe Tarfon used to take oaths by the life of his children. Amar lo, they said to him, Ben ein lo, he doesn't have a son, but Ben bas yesh lo, he does have the son of a daughter, meaning to say he has a grandson. V'chol zonish and eskeres b'shnayim, and any prostitute is hired for 2 coins, so chrasa b'shmona, they hire him for 8 coins. Asiyu lekameh, they brought this grandson rather, before Rebbe. Amar Lei said to him, Hadart bach, if you return, if you do teshuvah, Yahivna lach b'ratoy, I'll give you my daughter as a wife. So Hadar Bey, so he did return to him. Ika diamri, there are those that say Nasva v'gersha, that he married Rebbe's daughter, but then he divorced her. And Ika diamri, there are those that say Lo Nasva klal, he didn't marry her at all, Kadesh lo yomer, so people shouldn't say B'shvil zu chazer, that it was only because of this girl that this person returned, that this person did teshuvah. And the Gemara says, V'lama le kuli hai, why did Rebbe have to go so far to find these wayward children and bring them back? T'yamar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, because Rav Yehuda says that Rav says V'yamri lo Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Some say Rabbi Chia bar Abba says that Rabbi Yochanan says V'yamri lo, and some say Amar Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmeni Amar Rabbi Yonasan. Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmeni says that Rabbi Yonasan says Kol hamalamed es ben chaveru Torah, anyone who teaches the son of his friend Torah, Zocha v'yoshev b'yeshiva shel mala, he will merit to sit in the yeshiva shel mala, in the yeshiva of heaven. Shenemar, as it says, Im tashu v'ashivcha lefanai tamod, if you're going to return, then you're going to stand before me. The pasuk there is referring to the fact that if Yirmiyahu would help that the nation would return, then he too would stand before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'chol ha'melamed es ben Amoritz Torah, and anyone who teaches the son of an Amoritz Torah, afil HaKadosh Baruch Hu gozer gezeira, even if HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a decree, mevatla b'shvilu, he will nullify that decree for this person's sake. Shenemar, like it says, vim totzi yokra mizolel kefisiya, means to say that if you take the precious from the worthless, that's the idea of teaching the son of an Amoritz Torah, so then you're going to be like my mouth, the idea like my mouth, meaning the ability to be gozer gezerah, to be mevatel gezerah. And the Gemara continues, Amar Reb Parnach, Amar Reb Yochanan, Reb Parnach says that Reb Yochanan says, Kol shu Talmud Chacham, uveno Talmud Chacham, uven beno Talmud Chacham, anyone who's a Talmud Chacham, and his son is a Talmud Chacham, and his grandson is a Talmud Chacham, shuvein Torah posekas mizaro, liolam, then you know that Torah will not leave his children forever. Shenemar, as it says, Vanizos brisi v'gomer, it says, Lo yamushu mipichu mipizarach mipizar zarach, it says it's not going to leave your mouth, the mouth of your children, the mouth of your grandchildren. Amar Hashem me'atav yadolam, Hashem says this forever. My Amar Hashem, what does the pasuk mean when it says Hashem says this? Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Ani arev l'cha b'davar zeh, I am a guarantor in this issue. And my me'atav yadolam, what does it mean me'atav yadolam? Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah says, Mikan va'elach, it means from this point forward, if it's with the grandfather and the father and the grandson, from that point forward, Torah mechazeres al achsanya shala, the Torah will go back to its host. The Torah will always be with that family. And the Gemara continues, Rav Yosef arbin tanes, Rav Yosef, he sat 40 fasts, ve'akroyuhu lo yamushu mipicha, and so then they read to him in his dream the pasuk of lo yamushu mipicha, it's not going to be removed from your mouth. Yosef arboim tanis achrini, he sat another 40 fasts, ve'akroyuhu lo yamushu mipicha mipizaracha, and then they read to him the pasuk, it's not going to be removed from you or from your children's mouths. Yosef meya tanis achrini, then he sat another 100 fasts, asav akroyu, so then it came to him and read to him in the dream, lo yamushu mipicha, it's not going to be removed from your mouth, your children's mouth, your grandchildren's mouth. Amar, he said, Mikan va'ilach, from this point forward, lo tzrichna, I don't need to fast anymore. Torah mechazeres al achsanya shala, the Torah will always return to its host. And the Gemara continues, Reb Zera kisalik li'ard Yisrael, Reb Zera, when he went up to Eretz Yisrael, Yosef Meya Tanese, he said 100 fast. That way he would forget the Babylonian method of learning Gemara, because in Eretz Yisrael they learned with a different method. That way the Babylonian method would not hinder him from learning according to the methods of Eretz Yisrael. Yosef Meya Achranisa, then he said another 100 fast. That way Rebbe Lazar would not die during his lifetime. Because if Rebbe Lazar would die during his lifetime, then the communal issues would fall upon him. Then he said another 100 fast. That the fires of Gehenna should not be able to rule over him. Every 30 days he would check himself. Shagar Tanura, he would light an oven. He would go into it and sit in it. And the fire did not affect him. There was one day where the Rabbanan, they gave him the ayin hara, and then his legs were singed v'karule, and they called him Katan Charach Shake. They called him the short one whose leg was singed. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Rav Yehuda said that Rav said, Ma'idach Siv, what does it mean when it's written in the Pasuk? The Pasuk says, Mi Oisha Chacham v'Yaven Ezos, who is the wise person who understands this? V'asher Diber Pi Hashem Elov, Hashem spoke to him, v'Yagida, that he may declare it, Al Ma'avda Haaretz, why was the land lost? Davar Zeh, this matter, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video, on Daf Pei Amud Beis.